thank you for joining us. It's been a volatile and uncertain year for the local and the world economy. And as we enter the remaining weeks of the 2020 calendar year, we wanted to set the scene and discuss our expectations for 2021 and beyond. Joining me today is Carolyn Bindon, our Director and Senior Financial Advisor. So Carolyn has some insights to share. And I wonder, Carolyn, if you would talk to us around, are we entering, a gold phase?
Yeah, terrific. Thanks, Jo. Look, I think there's a lot of very interesting things out there being spoken about in the economy in the aftermath of, the last sort of 6-8 months. And I think it's really important to just try and regroup and think more deeply about what might be going to happen and draw some parallels, some interesting things to look at. And, interest rates are going lower for longer, and this has a profound effect on the economy. But what I really would like to do now is just think about and talk through a few things that relate to the Roaring 20s, that incredible period of time 100 years ago, and then talk a little bit about the coronavirus versus the Spanish flu, what the big upside is, 3 key takeaways, and then that really profound impact of low interest rates for a long period of time that we're going to experience. So the Roaring 20s, what an amazing time it was. I mean, there's been so many wonderful romantic movies and fabulous things that were going on in that decade. It was a time of massive economic growth and cultural change. And, this actually followed on from the Spanish flu. And just if we think a little bit about the Spanish flu versus the coronavirus, I'll just give you some facts. The Spanish flu killed 50 million people, and the population of the world at the time was 2.5 billion. So, 500 million people were affected, 20% of the global population at the time. And the second and third waves were more deadly than the first. And it killed 10% of those that were infected in the 20 to 40 age group. So, a massive impact, and we're not seeing that. Certainly there's been some terrible statistics coming out of different countries, but nothing like the Spanish flu, and certainly not 20% of the global population. So the pandemic, the coronavirus pandemic, is unlikely to be as severe as the Spanish flu. And interestingly, there's so much economic information out there. If you want to have a look at any graphs or reports, just Google the economic impact of the Spanish flu, and you'll see that there was a very modest effect on the economy, even though it was a profound shutdown of the global economy at that time. So the coronavirus is likely to be less economically harmful due to economic stimulus that's been happening around the world, and also the scale. At this stage, we haven't seen a scale like that, and we have been using methods to control the virus that they used for the Spanish flu. And you're just around the corner, there's a number of virus, vaccines coming. And these are vaccines that will be effective against a number of types of virus as well. Because, and back in the Spanish flu days, I mean, they didn't have any vaccines. And so it was a very severe impact with no likely prospect of overcoming the virus at that time. So I guess, following the Spanish flu, the US economy had an unprecedented economic boom that lasted 6 years. And it was technology fueled. So electricity was coming through the economy. They spent billions of dollars on infrastructure. The interstate highway was put in place. Radio had connected the economy, steel, rubber, oil, and the impacts of the car and being mobile had a massive impact on the economy. So, you know, there were a number of things that were happening after that were technology driven straight after the Spanish flu. And so for us and our clients in the medical and health industry, there's a big surge in research and development. There's no shortage of employment for medical practitioners and medical specialists. And we're in an environment where we've got the lowest interest rates ever recorded in history. So for our clients, there's employment certainty, there's an upside in opportunity, and the cost to invest and to grow wealth. The interest and capital availability in economy is the thing that helps it grow. And so for our clients in the medical sector, you know, although things are very difficult for some, you know, people out there, there's no doubt there's some very difficult, you know, circumstances. For our clients, they're not in that situation. And so we're in a period of time where our clients can actually grow their wealth, do great things in their career, and, you know, be there to support the medical and health and the research that's coming through, and be part and active participants in that development for many things that are happening in that space, not just on the virus development side, but there's an enormous amount of technological and medical advancement going on. So I think for our clients, these are really important things, but there are three really big takeaways that we'll talk about next. So I just really want to touch on in the roaring 20s, a century ago, it was a technology fueled, you know, incredible period of time, and not unlike what we're about to enter. If you think about driverless cars, new technology, broadband, which is essentially a similar sort of infrastructure project to electricity. If you talk about the infrastructure spending that's happening globally, it's massive, and certainly in Australia. The vaccines and what that will do, the changes in the way that the travel and the airline industry gets reshaped with new technology, with, you know, flights, direct flights from Brisbane to London instead of stopovers. And there are a lot of things going on in our economy now that have, you know, very similar influences to what happened after the Spanish flu. And I think there's a big upside. So I know Joe and I were talking earlier, and Joe asked a question, you know, well, you know, there's so much doom and gloom out there. What's going on that we hear on the news? The global economy is going to take a long time to recover, and there's, you know, second and third waves, and there's a lot of misinformation out there. That's sort of big news headlines. Maybe it's not misinformation, but it's big news headlines. But I think what's really important is for our clients to focus on what's happening locally. You can't deny that we're part of the global picture, but when you look at what's happening locally in Australia, you look at the medical industry growth, you look at the low interest rates, the infrastructure spends, there's a lot of very good news here that needs to be put into the picture as well. And I think that's why I was really keen to communicate this with you today. So what are the really big ideas? What are the three key things to take away from this? Well, medical employment is almost guaranteed, and the health sector is growing strongly. If you can actually go out there, and I'm not saying everybody should have lots of debt, but if you can acquire finance after tax deductions for a net cost of 1.5%, and it's going down, well, the opportunity to expand your asset base, to invest, to get that new home and to pay it off quickly, pay off your current home very quickly, because the money that you're putting into your house, more of it's paying off the debt because the interest rate is so low. I think that this is a stunning opportunity for our clients to use legal, logical and sensible leverage, not to borrow to buy shares using margin loans, but there are other ways to use debt to enhance and expand your asset base. And you know, we love property, we do love shares in super, and so I think it's really important to have a multi-strategy happening. But it's also time to change strategy. It's really important now to do more than one thing. Just paying off your home and putting a bit of money into super, excuse me, that probably worked 5 years ago, and that was probably a good strategy when we had interest rates at 6%, because you know the cost of debt for your home loan is 11%. So if you add back the tax you have to pay before you pay the bank. So that doesn't make sense to not put money into your home loan and pay your home loan off quickly. But now even your home loan, add back the tax, and your interest is less than dividends or rental income. I mean, we've got a 0.5% vacancy rate of investment properties on the Sunshine Coast. Now that can only mean one thing, that rental income will increase. And when there's strong demand for properties, we've got thousands of expatriate Australians coming home, and they need somewhere to live. So there's a lot of pressure on rents and property prices. So it's important now to have 3 or 4 or 5 strategies that you're running, so that the next 5 to 7 years you can make the absolute most of the money that you have. So it's time to get some advice about multi-strategy. You know, definitely we've got to make hay while the sun shines, because interest rates will rise over the longer term. You know, pay off your home, but make sure we're investing, because dividends and rental income are twice the return on the cost of debt. And if you're looking at cash rates, what can you earn from term deposits and secure investments? That's the hard side of the coin, because just living and expecting cash rates to help you produce an income either in retirement, I mean, it's negative returns after inflation. So more thought and more diversification to strategies needs to be looked at very carefully. But it is going to be a very interesting number of years coming up. So that's a multi-strategy financial plan is the key to really getting ahead. And, you know, getting ahead is not, you know, it's not about amassing money. It's about having the best life you possibly can with the money you have while you're here. And this is one of the biggest opportunities ever to increase your wealth, your financial security, and push tax into investments. You know, there's only 3 places you can invest: cash, property and shares. Yes, there's different derivatives or different variations of those, but getting the structure right as to how you invest and why you will do certain things, it's now important to review all the strategies you've had in place, because in a low interest rate environment for a long term, everything needs to be reviewed. So, you know, really advice and the blend of all of the strategies that you've got is going to give us potentially an amazing outcome over the next 5 to 7 years. You know, there's money pouring into equity markets because cash rates are so low. There are great returns from rental income. And there's almost guaranteed employment for our medical practitioners, either in private or public practice or a combination of both. And there are fantastic tax benefits. And a blend of the right strategies is going to make an enormous difference. And you know, this could really be the best financial decade of your life. And, you know, our view here is that, you know, everybody's got different aspirations for their life. And wealth and accumulating wealth, it's just a tool to get the life that you want and to do the things for your family and have the future that you want. And I guess, you know, getting the right team, having the right people involved can help you work through the best plan for you for the next 10 years and to make sure we get every single opportunity that we're taking advantage of it that applies for you. We've got a great team here. We've got 22 staff. We all love what we're doing, and we really do invite you to, you know, give us a call, send us an email or a text, and let's chat, because I'm sure there are a number of things we could do to reposition you for this period of time that's coming. We're still going to have some ups and downs, but we are definitely, there's a lot of pent-up opportunity and demand in the economy, and that's going to release all at once and have a big impact. Well, look, thank you for joining us, and we look forward to the coming years being a fantastic time for you.